Hello and thank you for joining me on episode 2. This is deep dive on season 1 episode 2 of Elementary, and the episode was called While You Were Sleeping. So really appreciate you joining me on episode 2. I thought I was going to make one episode as a trailer test pilot just to see if it would work, but I thought, you know what, when I was watching Elementary, it wasn't enough. I needed to watch 3 episodes of season 1 just to give me enough to get my groove on. So I enjoyed it after 3 episodes. So I thought, you know what, let's make 3 episodes of the first podcast episodes so you've got enough to put your teeth into. Again, this will adapt over time, so thank you for joining me, and let's have a quick overview of this episode today. I'll let you know what's going to be coming in today's episode and what you can look forward to. So again, welcome to a review of While You Were Sleeping. This is Season 1, Episode 2 of Elementary, the modern-day adaptation of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's classic Sherlock Holmes story. I'll be taking a deep dive into the episode of the hit crime drama Elementary. Join me as we explore the characters, themes, and cinematic qualities of this intriguing and immersive show. From Sherlock Holmes' unique quirks and mannerisms to Dr. Joan Watson's unexpected turn as their sober companion. So that's an overview there. Let's have a quick look into the analysis and performance of this episode. Remember, as we get more intense, I will be looking forward to you getting involved, and your segments and voice memos will make a main section of this episode podcast. Now, the plot in this one, you know what this one is about? So Holmes is brought in on a case and he quickly deducts who the offender is. When the police go to make an arrest, they discover Holmes could not possibly be right. Holmes, obsessed with his own abilities, sets out to prove the police are wrong. Now, let's have a quick overview of the plot in this episode. We'll talk a little bit about the things that came to my mind and also why he has this way about him. Obviously, he's an extreme introvert, you could say. He likes to be in his own head. He's very true. He doesn't like to waste his time with unnecessary things. Cue a couple of his quotes, which I will come on to later on in this episode. So there's While You Were Sleeping. It's about 44 minutes long, this episode, for the TV show. Again, we're going to review it overall and give you a few of my ideas. The 2 heirs of a fortune are murder suspects, but one sister has an undeniable alibi and the other is a coma patient. So Holmes is baffled as to how can a coma patient go and kill someone. So he's always a bit interested in that one, and obviously he likes to be right and he looks into just getting the right answer. You'll know in this episode the house they're living in, Holmes and Watson, slowly gets built out. I didn't like the fact that when we started, remember in series 1, the house was like very empty shell. So it gave us a good idea of how people move into homes, and the homes as in house home, not Holmes as in Sherlock Holmes. Houses can adapt to the people living within them. So I enjoyed the fact that over this episode they let us see the house slowly progress, like slowly more things were getting added to it, like his famous cattle panel with the locks on and things like that, which come up, and he does his lock picking and all his little endeavors in the house. They're always exciting, the little projects he has and the experiments he does. So that's something that I really enjoyed about this season. Again, I'm going to cover this from my script point of view. I've got something written down, and I also add little bits in along the way as we go. And as I see little interesting Reddit posts on the subreddit, I bring those into our episode as well. So yes, the episode centers around the home invasion that results in a man's death and his wife's critical injury. Sherlock and Joan are brought in to investigate the case, which becomes increasingly complex as they delve deeper into the circumstances surrounding the crime. Along the way, they encounter a number of suspects and red herrings and must use their skills of deduction and observation to piece together the truth. Interesting. Let's have a quick look at the overall opening scene and how it progresses. So the opening scene of this episode is a tense and dramatic one as a couple returns home to find their front door open and their house ransacked. They quickly discover a masked intruder inside the house who attacks and ultimately kills the husband. The scene sets out the stage for the rest of the episode, establishes the high stakes of the case. So yes, I put down a couple of bullet points here. Now, the episode opens up with a woman named Carrie Ann taking a late night swim in her apartment building's rooftop pool, only to be murdered shortly thereafter. So Holmes and Watson are called in to investigate the murder and begin to piece together clues from the victim's phone records and CCTV footage from the building. They identify several potential suspects, including a stalker who was obsessed with the victim and a wealthy businessman who had a financial stake in the apartment building. As the investigation continues, Holmes discovers that the victim's phone contains an important piece of evidence, but it is locked with a code that no one knows. With Watson's help, Holmes manages to break into the phone and uncovers a recording that reveals the true identity of the killer. In the end, the killer is arrested and Holmes reflects on the importance of being attentive to the smallest details when solving a case. You will know that during elementary, there is I think it was ahead of its time. A lot of people mentioned this in the subreddit. There's loads of little things that were ahead of its time at the time. 2012 we're talking about here. And there's loads of little further episodes you'll see as well. There's additional things which you look forward to, like the 3D printing, etc. and all the robotics that they do, as well as later seasons. We'll cover those, so I'm not going to jump ahead. But yeah, you'll see there's some notable quotes that I found interesting from this episode. There's no such thing as a small lie. All lies are created equal. That's an amazing quote. And people don't always tell you what they're thinking. There's another quote. These quotes reflect the ongoing themes of deception and hidden motives that drive the mystery at the heart of the episode. A quick look into the actors and performance. As you know, we've got Johnny Lee Miller and Lucy Liu continue to deliver strong performances as Sherlock and Joan, respectively. Miller's portrayal of Sherlock captures the character's intelligence, wit and vulnerability as he struggles with addiction and grapples with the consequences of his past actions. Liu's Joan serves as a grounding force for Sherlock, and her growing understanding of his character and motivations add an intriguing layer of complexity to the dramatic dynamic, The guest cast also delivers strong performances with Ophelia Lovibond and Atto Asandoa playing key roles in the case. Lovibond's character Kitty Winter is a particularly intriguing addition to the show, and her interactions with Sherlock hint at a deeper backstory that will be explored in future episodes. In terms of the technology featured in this episode, the most notable example was the use of fingerprint analysis software to identify a suspect, which was not a new technology at the time, but was still a relatively advanced tool for law enforcement. Additionally, the use of the security cameras to monitor the victim's building was also a notable use of technology in the episode. In the While You Were Sleeping episode, we see more of Sherlock's troubled past and ongoing struggles with addiction. We learn that he has complicated history with the man who was killed in the home invasion, and his own actions may have played a role in the events that led up to the crime. This adds a layer of personal investment to the case and further deepens our understanding of Sherlock's character. We also see Joan continue to grow and evolve as a character as she begins to develop a deeper understanding of Sherlock's motivations and inner life. Her insights into his behaviour prove crucial to the case and hint at the important role she will play in his ongoing journey of self-discovery. Other projects at the same time of this filming, there was you know how it goes, while they're filming that there are other things that people are working on, and like in season 1 episode 1, Johnny Lee Miller was filming several projects in the works, including Byzantium and Dark Shadows. Lucy Lee was also busy with several film projects, including The Man with the Iron Fist and Detachment. These projects showcase the range and versatility of the actors and hint at the diverse experience and perspectives they bring to their performances on Elementary. Now in this episode, the writers, there was a joint type situation, but the episode was actually written by Craig Sweeney, who went on to become an executive producer on the series. Sweeney's sharp writing and ability to craft complex, multi-layered mysteries are on this full display in this episode, as well as weaving together a web of clues and red herrings that keep the audience guessing until the very end. During this write-up, I put out a few relatively easy to follow bullet points that I'm elaborating on, but I'm quite impressed with how well they wrote this, because there's a lot of writing that goes into this to keep obviously the show going. Craig Sweeney used a number of complex topics and obviously having it layered in different ways and having a clue which kind of leads to another clue, and slowly that takes a lot of research, so hats off to that. Definitely did quite well. In terms of cinematography, in this episode it continues to capture the moody, atmospheric tones of the show with the dark and shadowy shots that add the suspense and tension to the mystery. The use of close-ups and unusual camera angles also serve to highlight the subtle being of the specific type of cameras used in Elementary, because in season 1 and season 2 is mentioned in the episode itself, but they appear to be traditional closed-circuit cameras which were commonly used in surveillance systems at the time the episode aired, and CCTV cameras were and are still widely used by security surveillance purposes in both public and private settings, as they can capture footage around the clock and provide a permanent record of events. In the episode, the cameras are used to help Holmes and Watson identify potential suspects in the murder case they are investigating. As they investigated, I wanted to come back to this because I didn't cover as much about this as I wanted to, because I don't want to give too many spoilers away, but as they investigated the case, they identified several potential suspects, including a stalker who was obsessed with the victim and a wealthy businessman who had a financial stake in the apartment building. However, they were not able to confirm the identity of the killer until they broke into the victim's phone, which contained an important piece of evidence. With Watson's help, Holmes was able to unlock the phone and discovered a recording that revealed the true identity of the killer. The killer was arrested and charged with murder based on the evidence collected by Holmes and Watson. Overall, the episode, Sherlock Holmes' keen observation skills and ability to piece together seemingly disparate clues to solve a case, is slowly getting into the realms of them building up just how you would expect Sherlock Holmes to be. Is he a true likeness to what we're used to seeing? Because I was looking at BBC Sherlock and I moved over to this. He was a very geeky kind of weird, especially in the first 2-3 episodes, very secluded, standing in the background, getting really close and smelling dead bodies and all these little things just to show that he's got that feel about, wait a minute, he's looking at deduction skills, and that's a fine art in itself, so maybe he's got a little bit more to give. And as he relaxes into his role, I felt like he was getting better and better, and he found his well, what worked for him. As with anything, starting something new, it can be difficult to get into that mindset, but he definitely did a great part in that. I wanted to look at a little bit of script from that season 1, episode 2. This is a scene where Holmes and Watson are in the brownstone discussing the case. Watson is reading a news article on her tablet. Watson, so this is the murder weapon, showing Holmes the article. The guy was beaten to death with a champagne bottle. Holmes, nodding. Well, that's quite an intimate weapon. Whoever did it was likely very close to the victim. Watson, well, the article says that there was a woman with him at the restaurant where it happened. They left together just before midnight. She's the prime suspect. Holmes, looking thoughtful. And yet, I find it hard to believe that a woman who dined with a man for several hours would then bludgeon him to death with a champagne bottle. Watson, well, what are you suggesting? Holmes, while smiling, only that there may be more to this case than meets the eye. As they continue to discuss the case, Holmes notices something out the window and abruptly stops mid-sentence. Holmes to Watson, excuse me, I need to take care of something. Holmes rushes out of the room, leaving Watson confused and curious. This scene is a key moment just to give you a bit of idea of their relationship, how they're moving throughout the scenes and the episodes, and it sets a dynamic between Holmes and Watson and their different approaches to investigating a case. It also hints at Holmes' sharp observation skills and the importance of paying attention to small details in order to solve a case. Here's another moment that I enjoyed as well. I'm just searching out some of these because I find these interesting. So in the in the precinct interrogation room, Detective Bell and Sherlock are questioning a suspect, Miss Stephanie McNally, about the murder of her husband. Stephanie, I didn't kill my husband. He was my soulmate. Sherlock, yes, you seem to have a knack for finding soulmates. You're married. 3 of them. You married 3 of them. All wealthy, all dying under mysterious circumstances. Your good luck with husband is almost as remarkable as your poor luck with prenuptial agreements. I laughed there. Stephanie, I didn't do it. Sherlock, your first husband died in a car crash. The second died of a heart attack. And now your third, a case of poisoning. Your track record suggests the probability of your being innocent is remote. The exchange showcases Sherlock's deductive skills and highlights his ability to piece together a suspect's past to solve a case. It also sets up the mystery surrounding Stephanie's husband and her potential involvement in their deaths. Overall, While You Were Sleeping is a gripping episode that showcases the brilliance of Sherlock Holmes as he uses his powers of deduction to solve a complex case and unravel the mysteries of the human mind. That's my take on this episode of Elementary, but I'm sure everyone watching the show has their own unique viewpoints and insights. If you'd like to share your thoughts or suggest something that I may have missed, I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a voice note and I may feature you on the next episode of the podcast. You can do that by using the email address videoguy247@gmail.com. That is videoguy247@gmail.com. If you're listening on Reddit, you can leave me a voice memo via the direct messages and I can feature that on the next episode. This one was a little bit interesting. I'm sure I've got my wires crossed along the way somewhere, because when you watch Elementary so many times, it's easy to mix up episodes. I may have to go back and start watching these again. Let me know if we should do a watch along. That might be good. We could do a watch along where I just post in saying today I'm watching season 1 episode 3. Guys, refresh on this episode and comment, and then that way on my next recording for episode 3 I can include all the up-to-date information, because it would be nice to reflect on a recent episode, because I think the last time I watched season 1 episode 2 would have been in my last rewatch. And now, where am I now? I'm on season 5 now, I think. Yeah, because when you watch them back to back, you just let them play and you're like, oh yeah, that's interesting, you carry on. But I need to get more apt at noting which episode and season that was from when I'm referring back to them. So if I mixed anything up along the ways, I'm sorry, but definitely let me know, and then I can update on my next episode and reconfirm to correct any mistakes I made. Thank you, and I will see you on my next episode.